Thank you for joining us on ClariT Conversations. This production is brought to you by ClariT Media and KPOO Radio.
Paris, are you ready to party? Are you ready to party? Well, it's time to meet the Little Richie Band.
On this episode of ClariT Conversations, I'm joined by musical master, producer, singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and band leader for musical superstars like Lionel Richie, Janet Jackson, Bette Midler, and Tina Turner, just to name a few. He's had hit after hit after hit, reached the top of the Billboard charts. Chuckie Booker joins ClariT Conversations.
One kinda, but other than that, no.
So let's go all the way back to when you were an actual New Jack, the little kid in the projects in Southern California.
Yes.
That New Jack. Okay, so just take a moment.
Uh-huh.
What kind of student were you? I mean, because you ended up in music, and most students who end up in music were the students who weren't really academically like into it. But what were your school days like?
Oh, and I was a great student.
Okay.
I just had this conversation with my mother just a few days ago. We were talking about, me being in school. No, I was great. I was all A's. Maybe a couple of B's here and there, but mostly
Okay.
A's. I was part of, in my high school, I was part of a program called the Knights, where only the top, 10 students out of the entire, class could be part of this club. So I was part of that. And it was called the Knights, and I was a part of that. And I had great grades, but I think I did it mostly because I was so ready to get back home and do my art and do my music. So my mom says, hey, if you do well, I'll help you get this. I'll help you get, a guitar, help you get this, whatever. And so I passed with flying. I had a reason to. I was passed with flying colors. I did. It was like no problem for me.
So that was your motivation.
That was definitely my motivation.
She hung that carrot in front of you.
She sure did. She hung that carrot. Yeah.
So the carrot was it a guitar? What was your first instrument?
My first instrument actually was a bass guitar.
Oh.
It was a bass,
For a little kid. How old were you?
Yeah. Oh, I was 13 when I got my first bass. We always had a piano in our home, so that wasn't, I don't really consider that, getting an instrument, because we always had a piano in the home. So that was, but my very first instrument was a bass guitar. And I was 13 or 14. My grandmother took me down to the pawn shop, and I found this red bass, and I was like, that's it, Ma, that's the one I want. And it was a left-handed bass. And I'm left-handed, so I couldn't find any basses at that time, but I found this one that was left-handed, and my grandmother got it for me, and man, that was it. I was gone after that.
That was destiny.
Yeah.
It's like a children's book. You need to write that book.
Yeah.
That's the perfect children's book, because really the left-handed guitar being red, sitting in the dusty corner at the pawn shop.
Yep.
That could be a great story.
Yeah.
Especially since you are the creator of a scholarship for children who are composing at an early age and beginning their music career.
Yes.
Talk about your Chuckie Booker Scholarship just briefly, because a lot of people don't realize that it's out there for those musically gifted students and family members of theirs.
Well, every year, me and associated with BMI, we come together for each year, and then we give out a scholarship program, for any excelling student or someone that's just really into music, that has the depth and the power and the want to be in the industry. So I spoke with BMI, and they said, hey, you know what, let's try to put something together, and we can, put together this little, and it's $3,000 plus a start. Yeah, so it's very cool. It's very cool.
So they can find out more online by going to what?
BMI.
Okay.
bmimusic.com.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right, that's cool. I just kind of read up on that a little bit. It was nice to see that.
Yeah.
Speaking of kids, so as a kid, you were, running around the projects. You had your red bass guitar. You're playing the piano, and were you performing in school and stuff, or in church? What were you doing?
Yeah, I started playing and singing in church when I was like a 7, actually. When I was 7, I was playing in church. My mother just kind of threw me out there and said, okay, you're gonna play and sing. So I did that, and she saw that I wasn't nervous, and she saw that, oh, okay, he's a natural, he can, do it or whatever. So I just pretty much just played in church, because my mother's she's a gospel pianist. So I just kind of followed under her wing. In fact, my entire family, they're all musicians. So it was just a matter of time for me. My uncles, they all play. They play, sing, they play various instruments.
Dad was
And my dad was a singer. Yeah, my dad's son, he had a doo-wop group, and they were really, doing their thing. So
did he sing lead?
He sung co-lead.
Oh,
Co-lead.
wow.
Co-lead with my uncle. My uncle and my dad were both, but my uncle could really sing. He could warble for real.
So what was the name of that group?
You know what? I think they were called the Blue Jays or the Jays.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's the Blue Jays. I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I'm gonna ask.
And then your mom. Do you think your mom's work in the church as the pianist helped it in your influence with directing people?
Absolutely, yeah. Because I used to see my mother do it like all the time in choir rehearsal. She'd say, tenor, sing this, alto, sing, blah, blah, because my mom was running all of that. So, it was kind of cool to, get that firsthand experience. I had a front row seat. So I'm like, okay.
Right.
And
It had to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
I figured.
Yeah. My mom has great, people skills, she has that. She's really good at that. So I kind of, picked up on that. Yeah,
So
now that no one's ever asked me that, so that's pretty interesting,
Yeah, because you didn't just wake up one day and start, directing people and producing on such a large scale. Yeah, I mean, that didn't just happen overnight. It was some part of your background and childhood where it came from, and to acknowledge it is really the important part of retrospect, because for kids who are listening to this interview, they'll want to pay attention to those things that you're talking about.
Yeah.
If there's someone in the family doing it, or if there's some influence, they need to pay attention to that, really cherish it, and kind of record it. Keep a working record of what they're doing to progress every day, and in terms of their growth and development. And so your mom was always there. She was always involved in the church.
Always.
So, and it, a lot of church kids, preachers' kids, and all of that, they don't really take it, and appreciate it always. They kind of take it for granted sometimes, unless, there are a rare few that come out of that and become major artists. Speaking of gospel music, how come you never produced, or did you produce any gospel music?
have. Yes, of course.
Talk about it. We don't hear that a lot.
Yeah, I did. I actually worked on, I did 2 songs for Commissioned.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I did a song, their first single. This is back in 1994. They had a song called Love is the Way.
Yes.
I produced and co-wrote wrote that with Fred Hammond, and I was also featured in the video that they had at the time. There's a video out, and so I was part of that. So when people would see me, they go, "Hey, aren't you in commission?" All the people from from the gospel, they, "Are you in commission?" I'm like, no, I was just in the video, but I'm not in commission.
Oh my gosh! So Commission, they were similar to Take 6 at that time, with a quartet style.
I think they were more. I wouldn't say Take 6, because they weren't really a vocal group. They were a full band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were for me. Fred played bass and.
My conversation with musical master Chuckie Booker will continue on ClariT Conversations, but you have to visit our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and tap on the notifications bell to receive updates on our latest episodes. Thank you for joining us on ClariT Conversations. This production is brought to you by ClariT Media and KPOO Radio. For any questions or comments, please visit kpoo.com or aliciamayo430@gmail.com. Your tax-deductible contribution helps support programming like this. Thank you.